This is Audible.
Audible Studios presents The Sellout, written by Paul Beatty, performed by Prentice Oniemi. Prologue. This may be hard to believe, coming from a black man, but I've never stolen anything. Never cheated on my taxes or at cards. Never snuck into the movies or failed to give back the extra change to a drugstore cashier. Indifferent to the ways of mercantilism and minimum wage expectations. I've never burgled a house, held up a liquor store, never boarded a crowded bus or subway car, sat in a seat reserved for the elderly, pulled out my gigantic penis, and masturbated to satisfaction with a perverted yet somehow crestfallen look on my face. But here I am, in the cavernous chambers of the Supreme Court of the United States of America, my car illegally and somewhat ironically parked on Constitution Avenue, my hands cuffed and crossed behind my back, my right to remain silent long since waived and said goodbye to as I sit in a thickly padded chair that, much like this country, isn't quite as comfortable as it looks. Summoned here by an officious-looking envelope stamped important in large sweepstakes red letters, I haven't stopped squirming since I arrived in this city.
Spring forward, fall back.
Dear sir,
Brother,
the
you
letter
ain't got
read,
much soul.
congratulations.
You gonna
You
have to
may
get real
already be a winner. Your
You ain't
case
got
has
much
been
soul. You're gonna
selected
have
from
to get
hundreds
very,
of other
very
appellate
high
cases to be heard by
for
the
it to come
Supreme
through
Court
for
of the
you.
United States of America.
You a square.
What a glorious honor.
You've been deluded. You like some 3-in-1 oil somebody poured some kerosene into. You're gonna have to spring forward 2-3 steps, then fall back 1.
It's highly recommended that you arrive at least 2 hours early for your hearing scheduled for 10 a.m. on the morning of March 19th, the year of our Lord.
'Cause brother, you ain't got no soul. You got a lot of work to do.
The letter closed with directions to the Supreme Court building from the airport, the train station, I-95, and a set of clip-out coupons to various attractions, restaurants, bed and breakfasts, and the like.
You're gonna have to get very high. You got some matches, man? You ain't got no matches?
There was no signature.
What we gonna do?
It simply ended,
Brother, listen to this.
sincerely yours,
I got something
the
for you to
people
hear.
of the United States of America.
You think you can do that? For you to do that, you're gonna have to get very high. 'Cause you a square. Man, you square. You might as well give it up. You might as well keep picking cotton. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Just pick that cotton. You're gonna have to get very high. Very high.
Washington, D.C., with its wide streets, confounding roundabouts, marble statues, Doric columns, and domes, is supposed to feel like ancient Rome. That is, as if the streets of ancient Rome were lined with homeless black people, bomb-sniffing dogs, tour buses, and cherry blossoms. Yesterday afternoon, like some sandal-shod Ethiop from the sticks of the darkest of the Los Angeles jungles, I ventured from the hotel and joined the hodge of blue-jeaned yokels that paraded slowly and patriotically past the Empire's historic landmarks. I stared in awe at the Lincoln Memorial. If Honest Abe had come to life and somehow managed to lift his bony 23-foot, 4-inch frame from his throne, what would he say?
Yes.
What would he do?
Yes. Yes.
Would he break dance? Would he pitch pennies against the curbside?
Yes.
Would he read the paper and see that the union he saved was now a dysfunctional plutocracy?
Yes.
That the people he freed were now slaves to rhythm, rap, and predatory lending?
Yes, Lord.
And that today, his skill set would be better suited to the basketball court than the White House. There, he could catch the rock on the break, pull up for a bearded three-pointer, hold the pose, and talk shit as the ball pops the net. The great emancipator. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
I'm so happy.
Not surprisingly.
I feel it flowing through me. Yes.
There's nothing to do at the Pentagon except start a war. Tourists aren't even allowed to take photos with the building in the background, so when the sailor-suited family of Navy veterans, 4 generations deep, handed me a disposable camera and asked me to follow at a distance and secretly take photos of them while they snapped to attention, saluted, and flashed peace signs for no apparent reason, I was only too happy to serve my country. At the National Mall, there was a one-man march on Washington.
Yes.
A lone white boy lay on the grass, fucking with the depth perception in such a way that the distant Washington Monument looked like a massive, pointy-tipped Caucasian hard-on streaming from his unzipped trousers. He joked with passerby, smiling into their camera phones and stroking his trick photography priapism. At the zoo, I stood in front of the primate cage listening to a woman marvel at how presidential the 400-pound gorilla looked, sitting astride a shorn oaken limb, keeping a watchful eye over his caged brood. When her boyfriend, his finger tapping the informational placard, pointed out the presidential silverback's name coincidentally was Baraka, the woman laughed aloud until she saw me, the other 400-pound gorilla in the room, stuffing something that might have been the last of a big stick popsicle or a Chiquita banana in my mouth.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Then she became disconsolate, crying and apologizing for having spoken her mind and my having been born. "Some of my best friends are monkeys," she said accidentally. It was my turn to laugh.
Almost hairless skin, short legs, a broad snout, and a wide mouth. The mouth is enormous, and the upper lip is thick and bulging. The hippopotamus is a social animal. 8 or 9 months after mating, the cow gives birth to a single young.
I understood where she was coming from.
Sometime, there will be twins. To pre-dynastic Egyptians, Taweret was a hippopotamus deity, a mother goddess, the mother of Isis and Osiris. Towerette was the protectress of women in pregnancy and childbirth.
This whole
To the people of
city's
Middle and
a Freudian
Southern
slip
Africa,
of the tongue.
the hump on the back of the hippopotamus is representative of the
A
stomach.
concrete hard-on for America's
The
deeds in
hippopotamus,
slavery,
rising out
manifest
of the
destiny,
river, is
Laverne and
representative
Shirley.
of a pregnant woman breaking her water. The hippo is a mother. Alice Inez.
Standing by idly while Germany tried to kill every Jew in Europe.
The hippopotamus can stay submerged for long.
Why, some of my best friends are the Museum of African Art, the Holocaust Museum, the Museum of the American Indian, the National Museum of Women in the Arts, and furthermore, I'll have you know my sister's daughter is married to an orangutan.
The void of unconsciousness. Emerging occasionally
All it takes is a day trip through Georgetown and Chinatown.
onto the land of consciousness. The hippopotamus roars and bellows at night.
A slow saunter past the White House, Phoenix House, Blair House, and the local crack house for the message to become abundantly clear.
The hippopotamus sweats blood.
Be it ancient Rome or modern-day America, you're either citizen or slave. Lion or Jew. Guilty or innocent. Comfortable or uncomfortable. And here, in the Supreme Court of the United States of America, fuck if between the handcuffs and the slipperiness of this chair's leather upholstery, the only way I can keep from spilling my ass ignominiously onto the goddamn floor is to lean back until I'm reclined at an angle just short of detention room nonchalance, but definitely well past courtroom contempt. Work keys jangling like sleigh bells, the court officers march into the chambers like a 2x2 wagonless team of crew-cut Clydesdales, harnessed together by a love of God and country.
Do I remember? How could I forget?
The lead train, a proud Budweiser of a woman with a brightly colored sash of citations rainbowed across her chest, taps the back of my seat.
Was in junior high.
She wants me to sit up straight, but the legendary civil disobedient that I am, I defiantly tilt myself even farther back in the chair, crash to the floor,
On that special day, Mr.
inept nonviolent resistance.
walked into the gym. Had an announcement. Anyone wishing to take band that already knows how to play an instrument.
She dangles a handcuff key in my face and, with one thick, hairless arm, hoists me upright, scooting my chair in so close to the table that I can see my suit and tie's reflection in its shiny, lemony fresh mahogany finish. I've never worn a suit before, and the man who sold me this one said, "You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it." But the face in the table staring back at me looks like what any business suit-wearing, cornrowed, dreadlocked, bald-headed, corporate afroed black man whose name you don't know and whose face you don't recognize looks like. He looks like a criminal. He looks like a criminal. When you look good, you feel good, the salesman also promised me. Guaranteed it. So when I get home, I'm gonna ask for my $129 back. Because I don't like the way I look. The way I feel. I feel like my suit. Cheap. Itchy. And coming apart at the seams. Most times, cops expect to be thanked. Whether they've just given you directions to the post office, beaten your ass in the back seat of the patrol car, or in my case, uncuffed you, returned your weed, drug paraphernalia, and provided you with the traditional Supreme Court quip. But this one has had a look of pity on her face ever since this morning when she and her posse met me atop the Supreme Court's vaunted 44th stair. Under a pediment inscribed with the words, "Equal justice under all," they stood shoulder to shoulder, squinting into the morning sun. Windbreakers dotted with the dandruff of fallen cherry blossoms, blocking my entrance into the building. We all knew that this was a charade, a last-minute meaningless show of power by the state. The only one not in on the joke was the Cocker Spaniel. His retractable leash whirring behind him, he bounded up to me, excitedly sniffed my shoes and my pant legs, nuzzled my crotch with his wet, snot-encrusted nose, and obediently sat down beside me, his tail proudly pounding the ground. been charged with a crime so heinous that busting me for possession of marijuana on federal property would be like charging Hitler with loitering, and a multinational oil company like British Petroleum with littering after 50 years of exploding refineries, toxic spills and emissions, and a shamelessly disingenuous advertising campaign. So, I clear my pipe with 2 loud raps on the mahogany table. Brush and blow the gummy resin onto the floor. Stuff the bowl with homegrown, and like a firing squad commander lighting a deserter's last cigarette, the lady cop obligingly flicks her big and sparks me up. I refuse the blindfold and take the most glorious toke ever taken in the history of pot smoking. Call every racially profiled, abortion-denied, flag-burning, Fifth Amendment taker and tell them to demand a retrial, because I'm getting high in the highest court in the land. The officers stare at me in amazement. I'm the Scopes monkey, the missing link in the evolution of African-American jurisprudence come to life. I can hear the Cocker Spaniel whimpering in the corridor, pawing at the door, as I blow an A-bomb mushroom cloud-sized plume of smoke into the faces that line the giant friezes on the ceiling. Hammurabi, Moses, Solomon, these vain Spanish marble incantations of democracy and fair play. Muhammad, Napoleon, Charlemagne, and some buffed ancient Greek frat boy in a toga stand above me. Casting their stony, judgmental gazes down upon me. I wonder if they looked at the Scottsboro boys and Al Gore Jr. with the same disdain. Only Confucius looks chill. The sporty Chinese satin robe with the big sleeves, kung fu shoes, Shaolin Sifu beard and mustache. I hold the pipe high overhead and offer him a hit. The longest journey starts with a single puff. That longest journey shit is Lao Tzu, he says. All you motherfucking philosopher poets sound alike to me, I say. It's a trip being the latest in the long line of landmark race-related cases. I suppose the constitutional scholars and cultural paleontologists will argue over my place on the historical timeline, carbon date my pipe, and determine whether I'm a direct descendant of Dred Scott, that colored conundrum who, as a slave living in a free state, was man enough for his wife and kids, man enough to sue his master for his freedom, but not man enough for the Constitution because, in the eyes of the court, he was simply property. A black biped with no rights the white man was bound to respect. They'll pore over the legal briefs and thumb through the antebellum vellum and try to determine whether or not the outcome of this case confirms or overturns Plessy versus Ferguson. They'll scour the plantations, the projects, and the Tudor suburban subdivision affirmative action palaces, digging up backyards, looking for remnants of the ghost of discrimination past in the fossilized dice and domino bones, brush the dust off the petrified rights and writs buried in bound legal volumes, and pronounce me as unforeseen hip-hop generation precedent. In the vein of Luther Luke Skywalker Campbell, the gap-toothed rapper who fought for his right to party and parody the white man the way he done us for years. Though if I'd been on the other side of the bench, I would have snatched the fountain pen from Chief Justice Rehnquist's hand and written the lone dissenting opinion, stating categorically that any whack rapper whose signature tune is "Me So Horny" has no rights the white man or any other b-boy worth his suede pumas was bound to respect. The smoke burns the inside of my throat. Equal justice under law, I shout to no one in particular. A testament to both the potency of the weed and my lightweight constitution. In neighborhoods like the one I grew up in, places that are poor in praxis but rich in rhetoric, the homies have a saying. I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
maxim, an oft-repeated rap lyric, a last-ditch rock and hard-place algorithm that on the surface is about faith in the system, but in reality means shoot first, put your trust in the public defender, and be thankful you still have your help. I'm not all that streetwise, but to my knowledge, there's no appellate court corollary. I've never heard a corner store roughneck take a sip of malt liquor and say, I'd rather be reviewed by 9 than arbitrated by 1. People have fought and died trying to get some of that equal justice under law advertised so blithely on the outside of this building. But innocent or guilty, most offenders never make it this far. Their courtroom appeals rarely go beyond a mother's tearful call for the good Lord's mercy or a second mortgage on Grandma's house. And if I believed in such slogans, I'd have to say I've had more than my share of justice, but I don't. When people feel the need to adorn a building or a compound with an Arbeit mocked pride, biggest little city in the world, or the happiest place on earth, it's a sign of insecurity, a contrived excuse for taking up our finite space and time. Ever been to Reno, Nevada? It's the shittiest little city in the world. And if Disneyland was indeed the happiest place on earth, you'd either keep it a secret or the price of admission would be free, and not equivalent to the yearly per capita income of a small sub-Saharan African nation like Detroit. I didn't always feel this way. Growing up, I used to think all of Black America's problems could be solved if we only had a motto. A pithy liberté, égalité, fraternité. We could post over squeaky wrought iron gateways, embroider onto kitchen wall hangings and ceremonial bunting. It, like the best of African American folklore and hairstyles, would have to be simple yet profound, noble and yet somehow egalitarian. A calling card for an entire race that was raceless on the surface, but quietly understood by those in the know to be very, very black. I don't know where young boys come up with such notions, but when your friends all refer to their parents by their first names, there's the sense that something isn't quite right. And wouldn't it be nice, in these times of constant conniption and crisis, for broken Negro families to gather around the hearth, gaze upon the mantelpiece, and take comfort in the uplifting words inscribed on a set of lovingly handcrafted commemorative plates or limited edition gold coins purchased from a late-night infomercial on an already maxed-out credit card. Other ethnicities have mottos. Unconquered and unconquerable is the calling card of the Chickasaw Nation, though it doesn't apply to the casino gaming tables or having fought with Confederates in the Civil War. Allahu Akbar, Chikata Ganai, never again. Harvard class of '96, to protect and to serve. These are more than just greetings and trite sayings. They are re-energizing codes. Linguistic chi that strengthens our life force and bonds us to other like-minded, like-skinned, like-shoe-wearing human beings. What is it that they say in the Mediterranean? Stessa faccia, stessa raza. Same face, same race. Every race has a motto. Don't believe me? You know that dark-haired guy in human resources? The one who acts white, talks white, but doesn't quite look right? Go up to her. Ask him why Mexican goalkeepers play so recklessly, or if the food at the taco truck parked outside is really safe to eat. Go ahead, ask him. Prod him. Rub the back of his flat Indio skull and see if he doesn't turn around with the pronunciamiento por la raza, todo. Fuera de la raza, nada. For the race, everything. Outside the race, nothing. When I was 10, I spent a long night burrowed under my comforter, cuddled up with Funshine Bear, who, filled with a foamy, enigmatic sense of language and a Bloomian dogmatism, was the most literary of the Care Bears and my harshest critic. In the musty darkness of that rayon Batcave, his stubby, all but immobile, yellow arms struggled to hold the flashlight steady, as together we tried to save the black race in 8 words or less. Putting my homeschool Latin to good use, I'd crank out a motto, then shove it under his heart-shaped plastic nose for approval. My first effort, Black America, Veni, Vidi, Vici, fried chicken. Peeled back Funshine's ears and closed his hard plastic eyes in disappointment. Semper Fi, Semper Funky raised his polyester hackles, and when he began to paw the mattress in anger and reared up on his stubby yellow legs bearing his ursine fangs and claws, I tried to remember what the Cub Scout manual said to do when confronted by an angry stuffed cartoon bear drunk on stolen credenza wine and editorial power. If you meet an angry bear, remain calm. Speak in gentle tones, stand your ground, get large, and write in clear, simple, uplifting Latin sentences. Unum corpus, una mens, una cor, unum amor. One body, one mind, one heart, one love. Not bad. It had a nice license plate ring to it. I could see it in cursive, circumnavigating the rim of a race war Medal of Honor. Funshine didn't hate it, but from the way he wrinkled his nose right before falling asleep that night, I could tell he felt my slogan implied a certain groupthink. And weren't black people always complaining about being labeled as monolithic? I didn't ruin his dreams by telling him that black people do all think alike. They won't admit it, but every black person thinks they're better than every other black person. I never heard back from the NAACP or the Urban League, so the black credo exists only in my head, impatiently waiting on a movement, a nation, and I suppose, since nowadays branding is everything, a logo. Maybe we don't need a motto. How many times have I heard someone say, "Nigga, you know me? My motto is, if I was smart, I'd put my Latin to use. Charge $10 a word, 15 if they aren't from the neighborhood or want me to translate. Don't hate the player, hate the game." If it's true that one's body is one's temple, I can make good money. Open up a little shop on the boulevard and have a long line of tattooed customers who transform themselves into non-denominational places of worship. Ankh, sarcophagus, and crucifixes fighting for abdominal space with Aztec sun gods and one Star of David galaxies. Chinese characters running down shaved calves and spinal columns. Synological shout-outs to dead loved ones that they think means rest in peace, Grandma Beverly, but in reality reads, no thickie, no bilateral trade agreement.
The more soft-hearted the woman, the more patience. You know me. My motto is, Shakespeare's Scarface, biblical Nazareth, schoolyard Africans, and hoodlum truisms. And whether it was scribbled on a crumpled or barn average, a paper plate stained with barbecue sauce and potato salad, or was it page carefully stored for a secret diary, such as scary to juvenile hall, that if I tell anyone about it, y'all shoot. I'd take the job serious. You don't need to have read. For these are a people for whom the phrase, well, if you put a gun to my head, isn't theoretical. And when someone has pressed a cold metal muzzle to the yin and yang symbol tattooed on their temples, you've lived to tell about. You don't need to have read the I Ching to appreciate the cosmic balance in the universe, the power of the what goes around comes around. Quod circumvehitur, revehitur. When business is slow, they'll come by to show me my hand. The old English letter, orthography, parsed, sweaty pens, true-tops mustaches. Money talks, bullshit walks, pecunia sermo, somnius ambulans. Dative and accusative clauses furnished onto their records. There's something special about having the language of science and romance surf the tidal waves of a homegirl's body fat. Strictly dickly, austerus verba. The shaky noun declension and ticker tape across their foreheads would be the closest most of them ever get to being white, to reading rights. Crip up or grip up. Cryptum vexo, vel carpo vex. It's non-essential, essentialism. Blood in, blood out. Minuo in, minuo sitio. It's the satisfaction of looking at your motto in the mirror and thinking, any nigga who isn't paranoid is crazy. Ulus nigger vir prisna es non insanus est rabus. Is something Julius Caesar would say. Act your age, not your shoe size. Factio vestri non vestri calcius. And if an increasingly pluralistic America ever decides to commission a new motto, I'm open for business. Because I've got a better one than E pluribus unum. Tu dormis, tu hentis, tu snooze, tu doors. Someone takes the pipe from my hand. Come on, man. That shit is cat. It's time to make the donuts, homie. Hampton Fisk, my lawyer and old friend, calmly wafts away the last of the pot smoke, then engulfs me in an anti-fog cloud of spray and I'm too high to speak, so we greet each other. Chin up. What's up, Nas? Share a knowing smile, because we both recognize the scent. Dropping breeze. Same shit we used to hide the evidence from our parents because it smelled like paper. If moms came home, kicked off the espadrilles, and found a crib redolent of apple cinnamon, strawberries, and cream, she'd know it was smoking. But if the crib smelled like PCP, then the stench could be blamed on Uncle Rick. Or alternatively, she could say nothing, too tired to deal with the possibility that her only child was addicted to Sherry. Arguing cases in front of the Supreme Court isn't Andrew Spader. He's an old-school criminal defense attorney. When you call his office, you invariably get put on hold. Not because he's busy or there's no receptionist, or you've called at the same time as some other sap who saw his ad on the bus stop bench. 800 number, 1-800-FREEDOM, scratched by paid transmitters on metal holding cell mirrors and backseat police car plexiglass. It's because he likes to listen to his answering machine. A 10-minute recitation of his legal triumphs and his trials. You have reached the FISC group. Any firm can list the charges. We can beat the charges. Not guilty, murder. Not guilty, DUI. Not guilty, assault of a police officer. Not guilty, sexual abuse. Not guilty, child abuse. Not guilty, elderly abuse. Dismissed, theft. Dismissed, forgery. Dismissed, domestic violence, more than 1,000 cases. Dismissed, sexual conduct with a minor. Dismissed, involving a child in drug activity. Dismissed, kidnapping. Hamp knows that only the most desperate of the accused will have patience to sit through that litany of damn near every criminal statute in St. Louis County Penitentiary. First in English, then in Spanish, then in Tagalog. And those are the people he likes to represent. The wretched of the earth, he calls us. People too poor to afford cable and too stupid to know that they aren't missing anything. If Jean Valjean had me representing him, he likes to say, then Les Miserables would have only been 6 pages long. Dismissed, motive bred pilfery. My crimes aren't listed on the answering machine. At the arraignment in district court, right before the judge asked me to enter a plea, he read the list of felonious charges against me. Allegations that in summation accused me of everything from desecration of the homeland to conspiracy to upset the apple cart just when things were going so well. Dumbfounded, I stood before the dismissed, trying to figure out if there was a snake in my crime. After a long pause, I finally reached the judge and said, Your Honor, I plead human. For this, I received an understanding snicker from the judge and a citation from the judge. The judge instantly she's not searched. And half joking, to Justice Mills, say that Massachusetts is impossible for crowds given the serious nature of the charges. But while he never said anything, my guess is that the ramifications of what he previously thought would be a simple case of standard black inner-city absurdity suddenly struck him, and he applied for admission to the Supreme Court bar the very next day. Your Honor, that's old news. I plead human. For now, I'm here in Washington, D.C., dangling at the end of my legal rope, stoned on memory and marijuana. My mouth bone dry and feeling like I've just woken up on the number 7 bus, drunk as fuck after a long, futile night of carousing and chasing Mexican babes at Santa Monica Pier, looking out the window and coming to the slow, marijuana-impaired realization that I've missed my stop and have no idea where I am or why everybody is looking at me. Like this woman in the court's front row, leaning over the wooden banister, her face a knotted and twisted veil of anger as she flips her long, slender, manicured, press-on-nailed middle fingers in my direction. Black women have beautiful hands, and with every fuck you cocoa butter stab in the air, her hands become more and more beautiful. They're the hands of a poet, one of those natural-haired, brass-bangled teacher poets, whose elegiac verses compares everything to jazz. Childbirth is like jazz, Muhammad Ali is like jazz, Philadelphia is like jazz, jazz is like jazz. Everything is like jazz except for me. To her, I'm like a remixed Anglo-Saxon appropriation of black music. I'm Pat Boone in blackface, singing a watered-down version of Fats Domino's Ain't That a Shame. I'm every note of non-punk British rock and roll plucked and strummed since the Beatles hit that mind-reverberating chord that opens A Hard Day's Night. But what about Bobby, What You Won't Do for Love, Caldwell, Jerry Mulligan, third bass, Janis Joplin? I want to shout back at her. What about Eric Clapton? Wait, I take that back. Fuck Eric Clapton. Ample bosoms first, she hops the rail, bogarts her way past the cops, and bolts toward me. her thumb-sucking charges clinging desperately to her "don't you see how insanely long, soft, shiny, and expensive this is, motherfucker? You will treat me like a queen." Toni Morrison's signature model pashmina shawl, trailing behind her like a cashmere kite tail. Now she's in my face, mumbling calmly and incoherently about Black pride, the slave ships, the two fish laws, Ronald Reagan, the Poll tax, the March on Washington, the myth, drop-back quarterback, how even the white-robed forces of the Ku Klux Klan were racist, and most emphatically, how the malleable minds of the ever-increasingly redundant young black youth must be protected. And lo, the mind of the little water-headed boy with both arms wrapped about his teacher's hips, his face buried in her crotch, definitely needs a bodyguard, or at least a mental prophylactics. He comes up for air, looking expectantly to me for an explanation as to why his teacher hates me so. Not getting one, the pupil returns to the warm moistness of his happy place, oblivious to the stereotype that black males don't go down there. What could I have said? You know how when you play shoots and ladders and you're almost at the finish line, but you spin a 6 and land on that long, really curvy red slide that takes you from square 67 all the way back to number 24? Yes, sir, he said politely. Well, I said, rubbing his ball-peen hammer head, I'm that long red slide. The teacher poet slaps me hard across the face, and I know why. She, like most everyone here, wants me to feel guilty. Wants me to show some contrition, to break down in tears, to save the stakes of money and her the embarrassment of sharing my blackness. I too wait for that familiar, overwhelming sense of black guilt to drop me to my knees. Knock me down, peg by meaningless, idiomatic peg, until I'm bent over in total supplication to America, tearfully confessing my sins against color and country, begging my proud black history for forgiveness. But there's nothing. Only the buzz of the air conditioner and my hat. And as security escorts her back to her seat, the little boy trailing behind her, holding on to her scarf for dear life, the sting in my cheek that she hopes will smile in perpetuity has already faded. And I find myself unable to conjure up a single guilty prayer. That's the vision. To be on trial for my life, and for the first time ever not feel guilty. That omnipresent guilt, since black as fast food apple pie, prison basketball, is finally gone. And it feels almost white to be unburdened with the racial shame that makes a respectable college freshman dread fried chicken Fridays at the dining hall. I was the diversity school trumpeted so loudly its glossy literature. But there wasn't enough financial aid in the world to get me to suck the gristle from a leg hole in front of the entire freshman class. I'm no longer party to that collective guilt that keeps the third chair jealous, the administrative secretary, the stock clerk, the not really all that attractive, but she's black, beauty pageant winner from showing up for work Monday morning and shooting every white motherfucker in the place. It's a guilt that has obligated me to mutter, "My bad," for every misplaced bounce pass, politician under federal investigation, every bug-eyed and raucous voice comedian, and every black film made since 1968. But I don't feel responsible anymore. And in a way, the prospect of going to jail becomes a relief. Uncomfortable with being so comfortable, I make one last attempt to be at one with my people. I close my eyes. There's no need to focus. Human carnage is always filmed and remembered in the highest definition. The images are crystal clear. Colorless blood spilling down faces shining with sweat in the light of the evening news. These are the pictures that form our collective 16mm superego. The head zombie looks exhausted from being raised from the dead every time someone wants to make a point about what black people should and shouldn't do. Can and cannot have. He doesn't know the mic is on. And under his breath, he confesses that if he'd only tasted that unsweetened swill that passed for iced tea at the segregated lunch counters in the South, he would have called the whole civil rights thing off. Things go better with coke, he says. It's the real thing. Still, I don't feel guilty. Too bad it's impossible to come off as pompous when you're wearing a silk flat robe and the Negro Justice has absentmindedly forgotten to take off his $50,000 platinum Rolex. I suppose if I had better job security than Father Time, I'd be smug as a motherfucker too. There he is, Cameleo Africanus Tokenus, hidden way in the back among all the shrubbery. His slimy feet gripped tightly around the judicial branch, silently gnawing on the leaves of injustice. Out of sight, out of mind is the black working man's motto. But now the entire country can see this one. Our collective noses pressed to the